Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into something absolutely fascinating, sleep's invisible operating system. We're going to completely decode the hidden biological environment right inside your bedroom, an environment that is secretly dictating your recovery, your resilience, and ultimately, your longevity. So let's start with a mystery we've all experienced. Why on earth do you wake up feeling completely exhausted, maybe with that dull headache or morning brain fog, even after spending a full 8 hours in bed? Well, we aren't going to treat this as just a lack of discipline or needing more coffee. We're going to treat this common morning grogginess as our very first critical biological clue. Because every symptom is a signal, right? Your body is desperately trying to tell you that something in your nocturnal environment is fundamentally disrupting your cellular biology. And here's the wild part. The culprit usually isn't a bad mattress. It's not your daily stress. The hidden threat is literally invisible. You see, in our modern quest for energy efficiency, we've built homes with incredibly airtight envelopes. And sure, that traps heat and saves on energy bills. But the consequence that almost nobody sees is the rapid, invisible accumulation of trapped gases inside these sealed structures. Think about it. The air you go to sleep with is often the exact same air you wake up with. It's just progressively heavily degraded. We call this the sleep paradox. On one hand, you have what we think is happening when we turn off the lights. Deep sleep, profound rest, cellular recovery. It looks so peaceful. But on the other hand, the physiological reality of what's actually happening in a poorly ventilated room is a totally different story. We're talking about severe autonomic nervous system stress and an elevated heart rate. Beneath the quiet, dark surface of your bedroom, there is an absolute chaotic physiological battle happening inside your body as it fights against its own environment. Okay, check out this number because it will completely change how you view your own home. 2,500 parts per million. Clinical research shows that simply closing your bedroom door for privacy at night can cause carbon dioxide levels to spike to 2,500, sometimes even 3,000 ppm by the early morning hours. To put that into perspective, fresh outdoor air sits around 400 ppm, and global engineering authorities say indoor levels should strictly stay below 800. So just by closing a door, you are subjecting your body to more than 3 times the maximum recommended limit of CO2. So what's the deeper hidden mechanism happening here? When CO2 concentrations spike that high, it triggers a state of mild respiratory acidosis in your blood. The hidden reality is that your brain registers this rising CO2 and literally thinks you are suffocating. In response, your autonomic nervous system actively pulls you right out of your highly restorative, slow-wave, deep sleep. Your heart rate shoots up, your breathing effort spikes. Your brain is actively sacrificing deep cellular recovery just to keep you breathing safely. And the physical consequence of this is just staggering. It leads to a 50% increase in body movements. Look, we all know the frustration of tossing and turning, kicking off the duvet, pulling it back on, and just assuming, oh, I can't get comfortable. But we need to reframe that habit. That restlessness is actually a documented biological survival response to elevated carbon dioxide. Your body is physically agitating you, forcing you into lighter sleep stages to manage the stress of the toxic air you're breathing. But CO2 isn't the only invisible threat floating around. Let's dig a little deeper into the science and talk about VOCs, or volatile organic compounds. Basically, these are carbon-based chemicals that easily evaporate into a gas at normal room temperatures. And here is the absolute bombshell. Backed by the EPA, indoor concentrations of these chemicals are consistently 2 to 10 times higher than outdoors. It's crazy, right? We think of our bedrooms as our ultimate safe sanctuary from city pollution, but because of the products we bring inside, it's actually a highly concentrated source of it. And the most intimate source of this chemical pollution might literally be right beneath you. Your mattress actively off-gasses thousands of chemicals straight into your breathing zone all night long. We're talking polyurethane and memory foam resins, solvent-based adhesives, formaldehyde treatments, chemical flame retardants, the whole shebang. These compounds just evaporate into the air you inhale deeply for 8 hours straight. And chronic exposure to these specific pollutants, it's directly associated with sensory irritation, headaches, and even central nervous system impact. Now, I know what you might be thinking. It's fine. I have a cool little snake plant on my nightstand. I'm protected. We really need to debunk this right now. Yes, plants do filter air when they are locked in tiny sealed laboratory chambers. But multiple studies and the American Lung Association confirm that ordinary potted plants cannot filter out VOCs in a regular, dynamically ventilated home. The air exchange in a normal bedroom completely outpaces a plant's ability to clean it. Unless you are sleeping inside a hermetically sealed laboratory beaker, relying on that fern to protect your respiratory biology is just a total myth.
All right, let's shift gears from the air you breathe to the temperature of your environment, because ultimately, sleep is fundamentally a temperature event. To even fall asleep, your core body temperature has to drop. During those first hours of deep, slow-wave sleep, your core temp hits its absolute lowest point. But here's where it gets incredibly fascinating. Look at REM sleep. During REM, your body becomes what scientists call poikilothermic. That means your biological ability to actively shiver or sweat is temporarily suspended. You become completely at the mercy of your bedroom's ambient temperature.
And that biological quirk creates what we call the temperature trap. Because your body's built-in thermostat is essentially parked during REM sleep, if your room is above 75 degrees Fahrenheit, it actively suppresses slow-wave sleep and completely fragments your highly vulnerable REM cycles. On the flip side, if it drops below 54 degrees, your body is forced to divert blood just to maintain your core temperature, which mimics waking signals and yanks you right out of deep sleep. If the room temperature is wrong, your physiological heat transfer process stalls out, and your entire sleep architecture just collapses.
To truly grasp the operating system of the bedroom, we have to look at this threat matrix. This systematically breaks down the specific contaminants in your air and their unseen compounding impacts on your cellular biology. Particulate matter like PM 2.5 penetrates deep into the alveoli of your lungs, driving systemic inflammation. Spiking CO2 causes major autonomic stress, and VOCs like formaldehyde trigger sensory irritation. What we're seeing here are interconnected systems at play. Poor air influences respiration. That strained respiration stresses the nervous system, and that stress shatters the very deep sleep you need for healthy aging.
Now, optimizing this environment isn't about guesswork or old wives' tales. According to globally recognized engineering authorities like ASHRAE, establishing thermal comfort and indoor air quality is an incredibly precise science. Yes, tighter modern housing allows for greater interior environmental control, but to actually achieve a restorative biological sanctuary, we have to combine the strict standards of mechanical engineering with the nuances of sleep physiology into one comprehensive system.
So, how do we finally decode this mystery and take back control? Well, here's your operating manual for transforming your bedroom back into a premier recovery zone. It requires 3 very specific sequential steps to master your microclimate. First, source control and allergen suppression. You have to stop contaminants at their origin. Second, high-efficiency air filtration to capture whatever escapes. And third, mechanical fresh air ventilation to constantly swap out that stale, degraded air with fresh outdoor air.
Now, here's a absolutely crucial point about that second step. A standard off-the-shelf air filter simply won't cut it. You need a heavy-duty setup. A true HEPA filter is phenomenal for catching microscopic particulate matter like dust and dander, but HEPA does absolutely zero for gases. To actually capture those gaseous VOCs off-gassing from your mattress and paint, you absolutely must have a heavy activated carbon filter. Researchers suggest a minimum of 5 pounds of granular carbon, which allows those chemical pollutants to physically bond to the carbon surface and pull them out of the air you breathe. When we pull all this data together, we get the biological optimization protocol, the exact, uncompromising scientific parameters that longevity experts use to perfectly calibrate their environments. You want to target a cool temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep your relative humidity right in the sweet spot between 40 and 50%. Run a continuous air purifier properly sized using the AHM 2/3 rule. And vitally, install a ductless energy recovery ventilator, or ERV, delivering 40 to 60 cubic feet per minute of fresh air. This specific protocol dilutes CO2, locks in temperature, and creates the ultimate foundation for deep, uninterrupted sleep. And the implications of actually doing this? It completely changes how you understand your own potential. Because when you execute this protocol, you aren't just getting rid of a little morning grogginess. The clinical studies show that shifting from a high CO2, poorly ventilated room to an optimized sleep environment yields a massive 20 to 50% increase in next-day cognitive performance. Think about that. You are physically upgrading your brain's processing power, your decision-making, and your emotional resilience simply by altering the invisible gases you breathe while you are unconscious. We've uncovered the hidden mechanisms governing your sleep and your biology. Every single breath you take in the dark is either actively contributing to your longevity or it's quietly taxing your nervous system.
So I want to leave you with this final, vital question. Look around at the walls where you'll sleep tonight and ask yourself, is your bedroom a carefully engineered biological sanctuary for recovery, or is it a sealed chamber suffocating your true potential? The science is incredibly clear, and the choice of how to design your microclimate is now entirely yours.